5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Please do not change channel.
From Krypton Radio, brought to you by Famous Faces and Funnies and Off the Chain with Yvonne Mason. It's the Hangin' with Web Show Radio Hour, the internet's premier pop culture talk radio show. You're tuned in, you're logged on, and now, your host, award-winning author and journalist G.W. Pomichter. Who are you hanging with?
Hello, World Wide Web. Welcome to the Hangin' with Web Show Radio Hour. I'm G.W. Pomichter.
I'm Sage Ia.
And I'm Deanna Marie.
And we are in the studio this week. Welcome to the show. We're excited. If you're listening to us on our first run on Krypton Radio, Sci-fi for your Wi-Fi, or anywhere out there on Spreaker, iTunes, Spotify, iHeartRadio, radio.com. I don't remember the whole list. Do you remember the list? Anybody remember the whole list?
It's a crazy long
It would take like 2 hours. Yeah. Forget the list. I'll tell you what. Go to Google and Google the Hangin' with Web Show Radio Hour and then listen and you'll hear us.
Now it's HANGIN.
That's great. That's right. Hangin' with Web Show. We are in the studio tonight and we are going to talk about, in sci-fi, guys, there are so many topics that pop up in our science fiction. And it could be sci-fi fantasy. We could be learning about the world of Tolkien with dragons and hobbits and all these things. It can be dystopian futures. It can be superheroes, comic book characters. But an old standby, an old staple for science fiction has always been what is out there. It's been aliens, it's been spaceships, it's been space travel and exploration. That's a staple. Oh, nice. Very nicely done, Dina. That is a staple of popular imagination. And you know what happens when science fact meets science fiction meets pop culture and popular imagination is you get this whirlwind of stuff. On the line with us tonight to help us dive into alien life, speculative and theoretical, as well as and alien spaceships and that alien contact. To dive into this topic, we went to the Hangin' with Web Show's own paranormal expert, and we called on the one and only Dennis Webster. Dennis, how are you tonight, man?
Fantastic. How you doing?
Doing good. We air every week, every Thursday night at 7 p.m. on Krypton Radio, and we've talked about a bunch of topics in the science fiction and science, in the world of the paranormal and the things we love in popular culture. And we decided that we would take a stab at UFOs and alien contact because the lines between fact and fiction get they don't get clearer every day. They get blurrier every day.
Yeah, there's a lot of cool stuff going on just in the last couple of years with the announcement of the Advanced Aviation Threat Identification Program that the federal government admitted that they're budgeting $22 million a year and they're tracking UFOs.
Yeah. Yeah, it's amazing to see that, we our science fiction writers, dating all the way back, have always speculated, what's out there and, what would contact be like and whether it's what they would look like or what their physiology is or are they like us, what are their cultural agendas. And every time we turn on a scientific magazine program or we look up, there's a new piece of information that gets us one step closer to understanding that maybe science fiction and science spec aren't as far apart as we thought they were.
Well, last week, because I do wacky holidays. Right?
Yeah,
last week was First Contact Day.
First Contact Day.
Wait a minute. How did that become?
She's going to have a lot of fun with that button tonight. And we just found out we are also being joined. Not only do we have the one and only Dennis Webster, our Hangin' with Web Show's paranormal expert. Also, by the way, guys, you can catch Dennis on his own YouTube channel at Ghost and Toast. Because when he's not talking to us about crazy UFOs and all of these things, He's out there chasing ghosts. But also we're joined tonight with the Hangin' with Web Show's own correspondent, the Orlando Wizard himself, Robert Lupo. Lupo, are you on, man?
Yeah, can you guys hear me okay?
We surely can. Welcome to another wonderful Hangin' with Web Show radio hour, man.
Oh, thank you very much. I'm sorry I'm late.
Oh, it's okay. It's okay. We actually we had a little technical difficulties anyway, so we're just getting started, and because we normally do this off air, we didn't have a chance to before, so we're going to do it now. Robert Lupo, the Orlando Wizard, please meet Dennis Webster, the host of Ghost and Toast and one of upstate New York's paranormal investigators, here to talk to us about UFOs and alien contact tonight. So, Dennis, this is Robert Lupo. Robert Lupo, this is Dennis Webster. We'll do that on the air. How's that? There we go.
Nice to meet you.
Yeah.
Yeah, how are you doing?
All right, guys. So we were just talking about, the blurring of the lines between science fact and science fiction when it comes to, I think, one of the staples of popular culture and popular imagination, which is alien life and alien contact. And Dennis was just talking a little bit about the government's program to track UFOs, and that, they have, after several attempts to close the book, quite literally, on the phenomenon of UFOs and alien life, as recently as just a couple years ago, they found over $20 million in funding going to a program to study this phenomenon.
What? You think they spend $6,000 on a hammer?
If you can't use a pop culture reference during the course of a show, we're not doing it right. Wow. So, okay, so I'm going to go around the panel here and talk a little bit about your particular interest. There's the first segment, we're going to talk about your interests and what you think. And so we'll start with Dennis. Dennis, how did you get hooked on the subject of UFOs and alien life? And what are your personal thoughts? And guys, try to keep it down to about 2 minutes. So try to wrap it in there as fast as you can. That way we can get everybody in.
I would say probably my favorite movies growing up featured UFOs, including Close Encounters of the Third Kind, which you're playing.
Go ahead, Dina. Go ahead. We know you want to. Go ahead, Dina.
And I would say that ghosts and UFOs kind of have a similar theory in a way. At least recent theories is that, which I'm fascinated by, is UFOs are not necessarily from another galaxy, but from another multi-universe or another dimension, and they're traveling back and forth, which seems to be a pretty popular theory right now. So I really like that thought process, that there may be that, or perhaps time travelers from the future.
Ooh, there's a good one. They're coming back here and trying to fix stuff because we broke it. You know what happened is all of them are converging on Earth to fix the snap. They're trying to undo the snap. That's right. Lupo, what do you think, man? UFOs, alien life. What do you think? What are your thoughts, man?
Well, we do know for a fact that alien life exists because we created it ourselves. Do you know about that?
I'm listening.
So when we send probes to like Mars and explore it up there, regardless of how we tried to sanitize the devices as they went up there, we were never 100% clear. So what happened is microbes on these devices have mutated now in the Martian atmosphere and created a new form of life. They're not what we sent up there. So theoretically and legitimately, there is life on Mars.
See?
That is
we knew there were Martians
by us.
That we knew there were. Now they're just really tiny Martians.
Never Martians.
Well, that's how life on Earth started.
That's right. It all starts with that tiny spark.
So,
yeah.
But I mean, the fact is the microbes that are there aren't what we sent. They've completely evolved and mutated to take advantage of what atmosphere they have there. So you could call them Martians.
Well, and I'm actually a big fan of the Drake equation. And especially given, again, what Lupo just pointed out, that life from here could go to Mars, adapt to the most hostile environment, and become Martian life. Given that fact, when you take that into consideration and you plug that into the Drake equation, the number of stars times the number of galaxies times the number that could produce, have planets that could produce life, all of that down, it becomes a mathematical certainty that there's life out there.
Sure, if you think about it, just the Milky Way galaxy itself, it would take 100,000 years to cross it at light speed. And there's about 250 billion stars or universes in our galaxy alone.
And I believe there are over 200 exoplanets that have been, identified. So we're identifying, every day they're identifying new exoplanets and things like that. And again, when you take into consideration what Lupo just reminded us, which is that life from here can adapt, so our definition of the proverbial Goldilocks zone has to be adapted slightly, because if microbial life can adapt and fill that, can create life that can survive in the Martian environment, that expands the Goldilocks zone in our own solar system beyond Mars.
Carl Sagan would be doing such a big happy dance.
Oh yeah, there'd be like there's gonna be a little of this and a little of that. It'd be lots of happy dance.
They can't see you doing that.
I know, but they don't know. Well, I never mind.
Trust me, y'all are glad you can't see him doing that.
Y'all are very glad.
I can't see him do it either, and I can see you guys. So he's hiding behind there.
Yeah, Dina's head is right in front of me. It's perfect.
Yeah, Dina.
Oh yeah, Dina. Yeah. So okay, guys.
Yeah, Dina.
So I'll tell you what, we're going to go and we're going to kind of look again. Our show is very popular culture based. So we got about 2 minutes until our first break. We kind of went around. How about you, Sage? What do you think? Life in the galaxy, life in the universe.
Well,
what interests you about it, and why?
I do remember reading The Cosmos by Carl Sagan, and I have to agree. With the infinite amount of space that's out there and all of the stars we have, it does seem, rather presumptuous of us to think that there wouldn't be life out there. So I definitely think there is something. But I do love the idea. We watch Ancient Aliens.
Ancient astronaut theorists suggest.
Yes.
Nice. I love it.
Thank you very much.
Very nice.
Yes. And I do.
You guys went fishing the internet for the best clips, didn't you? Yeah, I like that.
But I do like that idea. I mean, that has possibly occurred before.
I do. I like the idea. And, that ties into what Dennis was saying, and that's that new information, new theories, new speculations always lead us to whether or not alien life is from another planet, maybe from another dimension, another time. And moreover than that, how long and what have we mistaken for maybe supernatural that is actually very natural and just perhaps extraterrestrial? And I love that question, because it kind of forces us to look at the world in its makeup as more than just matter, and see things in the ethereal, as it were, a little bit broader context. Ancient Aliens, we do love that. That's our evening guilty pleasure, and I just love to hear them speculate. I mean, some of their theories are I think way out and very far off base, and others there's just no denying that the theory is sound, whether or not it's proven. So, it's an amazing thing. Guys, we have to take a break. When we come back, we're going to dive into, Dennis said, early movies that he enjoyed. We're going to talk about some aliens in the movies and how they resemble what we might think of, in the, arena of science speculation or science near fact. How about we do that?
Ooh, I like that.
Yeah, we don't want to take the entire science community and chafe them off by calling it fact, but it's near fact, it's theory. So we'll talk about that and how it measures up to what we speculate in our fiction when we come back after this break. Until then, stay tuned in and stay logged on. We'll be right back.
The Rite of Wands by Mackenzie Flohr. One boy, one rite, and a world of deadly secrets that could change history forever. It's time for The Rite of Wands by Mackenzie Flohr. When a horrible fate reveals itself during the Rite of Wands ceremony, Mirta must find a way to change his destiny. Forbidden from revealing the future, he is granted a wand and magical powers in order to save himself and those he loves. But Mirta is not the only one with secrets. The Rite of Wands by Mackenzie Flohr, available on Amazon.com now.
Authors, filmmakers, producers, anybody that has anything to do with creating independent stuff, comic book authors, musicians. Make sure you take advantage of the 2019 Indie Originals Live Talent Competition, going on now at www.indieoriginalslive.com. This is your exclusive opportunity to become an official award-winning independent creator to use that in your marketing. Enter today at www.indieoriginalslive.com.
Not every phoenix is reborn from the ashes. When dark fairies turn their powers loose in Atlanta, a young water phoenix must overcome her own mistakes to save mankind from wishing itself to Armageddon. Begin Michael J. Allen's epic 5-book series with Ashes of Raging Water, available for a limited time exclusively as a part of the Cursed Lands 20-novel box set, coming May 7th on Amazon, Nook, or Apple Book. Pre-order now for $1 and get 12 free stories as the author's gift to you. Learn more at cursed-lands-boxset.com.
Who's who? What's hot and what's not? 2019 saw some amazing new creative talents, and now you can peek behind the scenes at the hottest indie creative artists in this year's edition of 25 Hottest Indie Authors, Artist Advocates 2019 magazine, published by the renowned And I Thought Ladies. This is a one-of-a-kind look into the brightest rising stars in the creative universe. Get yours today at magcloud.com and at andwethought.com.
I believe.
Amen, sister. Welcome back to the Hangin' with Web Show Radio Hour, everybody. I'm GW Pomichter.
I'm Sajia.
I'm Deanna Marie.
And we are joined on the line tonight by the Orlando Wizard himself, Robert Lupo.
Hola.
And we have the Hangin' with Web Show's very own paranormal expert, Mr. Dennis Webster from upstate New York. How are you, Dennis?
Awesome.
Awesome. Okay, guys. So, all of us here, I think, have done a lot of reading and a lot of studying on the current state of affairs when it comes to alien life and things like that, and what we think is out there and where it is and why it is. But we all had to be exposed to this concept, to these ideas somewhere, and more often than not, it's the artist community, it's the writers and the filmmakers and these guys that are inspiring us when we're very young to take an interest in this stuff. So I want to kind of go around the panel and find out. There are literally, and I'm actually looking at a list which is awesome. There are literally hundreds of film, television, and literature properties that speculate about the existence and the makeup of alien life. And I want to know from each one of you on the panel here. What was your earliest exposure to in popular culture? What was your earliest exposure to the idea of aliens outside of Earth? And what was your? And we do two per panelist here. Your earliest exposure that you can recall, and your favorite property that speculates on alien life. So we'll start with Dennis. What do you think, man? Your earliest exposure, and then your favorite one.
I would say my earliest would be when I was real young and saw Forbidden Planet with Leslie Nielsen.
Yeah.
It's a remake of Shakespeare's Tempest, but it's a great movie. And I love that because they use the human's mind against them. If you remember the premise of that movie, the internal id, that was a fantastic movie. I believe it came out in 1952, but I mean, I wasn't born then, but great flick. I just love it because it was a billion-year-old civilization that destroyed itself, which is a pretty popular concept about do alien civilizations mature and then ultimately destroy themselves.
The cyclical nature of societies as a whole, yeah.
And I would say my favorite would probably have to be Galaxy Quest, which I just think is super hilarious because we've been broadcasting radio shows like what we're doing now and programs that go leak into outer space, and they intercept the quote-unquote historical documents.
Yeah,
it's like the spoof on Star Trek.
I do. I love. First of all, Galaxy Quest, one of my favorite, just funny all-time movies, just because. I think my favorite. I love listening to Sigourney Weaver's character throughout the whole thing. She's so hysterical throughout the whole thing.
Computer's commands. That's all she does.
Yeah, she repeats the computer commands.
I have one job on this ship.
That's right. And I love her pointing out later on, this has no purpose. This was a poorly written episode. I love that. So that is awesome. Lupo, how about you, man? Earliest exposure to alien life and your favorite exposure?
I think my earliest exposure is when I actually saw a UFO when I was a kid.
Really?
Awesome.
Yeah.
Okay, look, we got to hear that story. Come on.
So I grew up in Santa Barbara, which isn't too far from the Vandenberg Missile Base down in California.
Mm-hmm.
In fact, I was born at the Vandenberg Missile Base, and I remember
that explains so much about Lupo.
There's so much more. I remember I was in I grew up in Della Vista Lane, just down from the hospital, and up Olive Avenue to my school, which was Roosevelt Elementary. And I think at this time I was in the 3rd grade. It was right before we moved. And it was the dead of night, not a sound out there. And for some reason, I just kind of woke up and I went into my backyard. And I'm sitting there, and I'm just like out there in my pajamas, staring at the stars for some bizarre, unknown reason. I just felt like going out there. It was a beautiful night in the summer, and I thought I saw a shooting star, and it was a long streak, but it didn't have like the tail that you see in a shooting star, because I had seen lots of meteor falls by that age, and I'm watching it, and it's streaking across the sky. I'm like, oh, a shooting star, and it dawns on me. I'm like, well, it's not getting brighter or developing and developing a tail. And I'm watching that. I'm like, that's kind of strange. And then as it's coming across the sky diagonally, it immediately goes straight up and vanished.
Wow. Now, was your UFO ever identified, or did it remain? Has it remained a UFO your whole life?
I remember that people were talking about watching the shooting star, and I'm like, but it wasn't a shooting star, because it did like a 90-degree angle. It just went straight up. So it was coming down to Earth and then went straight up and vanished. And I was like, that's not what they do.
Yeah, no, that's typically no. Okay, how about your favorite one? I don't know. I think that might have become my. I mean, that might have become my favorite one.
Quiz and the Orville, or my favorite.
What's that?
The Orville.
The Orville. That's right. The new.
Yeah,
yes.
Great show.
They are a lot of fun.
Both Galaxy Quest and Orville are what I consider fun and entertaining.
Yeah, the Orville, I thought, when I first heard about the Orville coming out, that's the way someone described it to me, is that it was sort of Galaxy Quest meets Star Trek. Because he's going to bring, Seth was going to bring such down-to-earth, real-world humor into the Star Trek-type world that it was just going to make you laugh and enjoy the adventure. And it did deliver all of that plus. It was really good. The Orville is an awesome show. All right, Sage, how about you? Earliest exposure to the concept of aliens.
Okay.
And you get your earliest and then your favorite.
Okay, earliest?
Yeah, earliest.
No, don't laugh, everybody. But I think the earliest would have to be Bugs Bunny cartoons with Marvin the Martian.
Marvin the Martian was your first alien exposure.
Right? So,
nice.
Hey, cool. Little alien guy.
It's good,
yeah. So, but I think...
although you do realize he was obsessed with, world domination.
Yes.
Galactic domination.
Well, we have a lot of that in the popular culture about the theory of alien life, that they would come and take over. But I think probably one of my favorite properties would be E.T.
Oh, yeah.
Because I love that idea. Marvin the Martian is the opposite end of the extreme. He's coming to,
dominate.
Blow crap up, right? But E.T. was, it was just about exploration, and he made friends with Elliot. I love that idea, especially, that the scientific community, even though the main scientist always wanted to have that contact, at the end, they ultimately just wanted to study and they weren't really interested in that relationship. And I always thought, well, there's that branch of humanity who would. We just want to explore that. We don't want to exploit that.
I think E.T. was one of the first times we explored the idea that something alien or completely foreign to us didn't have to be scary. It didn't have to be. They weren't coming to conquer necessarily. They were just, they were like intergalactic botanists collecting plant samples.
But guys, true story. The original Gremlins movie was supposed to be an E.T. sequel. The original script was supposed to be E.T.'s buddies coming back here and being mischievous and taking over a town.
That would have been funny.
Cool.
That would have been really cool, actually. Yeah. Hey, look, you kept our guy for we don't know how long, months. You kept our guy for months. So we're coming back to really, beat the hell out of somebody. Yeah. I said for me, my earliest would have been, I remember this because it was scary. It was a scary one, and because I was with the old Twilight Zones. The Rothschild Twilight Zones. I don't remember the name of the episode now, but I do know that the whole idea was that aliens had come down and that they were taking us all it was an exchange program. We went some of ours to their planet.
I love this one.
And then at the very end, and their whole mission, according to when they first get there, the only thing we get is this little piece of writing that says to serve man. And at the end, it turns out it's a cookbook. And I was like, whoa! That just was like, it blew my mind. And I was like 7, I think, when I saw that. And on like Saturday or not, like afternoon, shows, the Twilight Zone was on and I watched that and I was like, whoa, it's a cookbook. That was really messed up.
What about your favorite?
My favorite. Oh my gosh.
You have to pick one.
I have to pick one. All right. You know what? Because it's not obscure. And in this room, it's not obscure, but in the rest of the world, it's a little obscure, in that, it's not, we find out about aliens, but it's not like an alien contact. It's not a Star Trek or The Abyss.
Oh, yeah.
I love the idea that they're here, they're down there, they're chilling, they're hanging out, and we stumble across alien life right here on our own planet, and it's not hostile. It's again, it's difficult for us to understand, but it is not hostile. And I loved that idea. The Abyss, I think, was one of my favorites. And who doesn't like to just think that you can save somebody's life just by smacking them a few times? Wake up, you! See, I remember that. Yeah, I can't. I can't even bring myself to do it on the radio. Sorry.
Breathe, you
Breathe,
bitch.
you. Yeah. See, I don't know. That was awesome. So I liked that.
There's something interesting about the Abyss.
Yeah.
When they put the rat into that liquid that you're supposed to be able to breathe, that was actually real. That is a real liquid. They used to use it to cool down supercomputers, the old craze. They would pump that liquid because it's non-conductive.
Oh, wow.
And they actually use that in deep sea diving to breathe. You breathe that liquid. And they say you have to heavily sedate the person because you have that sensation of drowning. But when you see the rat going through that, struggling and then breathing, he's actually breathing the liquid.
That is wicked cool.
Fascinating.
That is wicked cool. Mm-hmm. Now, I did know that there was an experiment, with that. I didn't know that was based on an actual science.
Oh, no, but I didn't. That's been around forever. I mean, it's like since the 60s.
Wow.
It's a non-conductive liquid, and they use it for cooling. But you can breathe it.
All right, so who woke up one day and said, hey, we use this stuff to cool our supercomputers? I'll bet you I could breathe that. I had to be like some 16-year-old kid.
Well, they have a point in the Abyss, too, because that's how we evolve, when we're born.
Well, yeah, we do. We do breathe liquid when we're in the womb. But okay, as our lungs evolve. All right, guys. So we're going to come back on the other side of this commercial break, and on the other side of this commercial break, we're going to kind of tear it apart a little bit, and I'm going to go around the panel. I'm going to find out from everybody, the best and worst done sci-fi aliens based on your opinion of what alien life would be like. And so who did the worst job, who did the best job in your opinion? So again, another 2 per. So all right, we're going to come back after this break and we will talk about the best and worst aliens in pop culture and the popular imagination right after these messages.
You have more options than ever before when choosing a film, a television or internet series, a book to curl up with, or even a radio show or podcast. Get to know the people who are creating for you. The Hangin' With Web Show, hosted by award-winning author and journalist G.W. Pomichter, is the internet's fastest-growing web talk show series. The Hangin' With Web Show features professional, yet casual, in-depth interviews with creative arts and entertainment pros. Meet the people behind a digital revolution in creating more quality content than ever before in the history of media. Find the Hangin' With Web Show on YouTube, Facebook, or Twitter, or simply go to www.hanginwithshow.com. That's www.hanginwithshow.com.
Famous Faces and Funnies in Melbourne, Florida is leading the way in pop culture fun. From comic books and graphic novels to Funko Pops and collector's items, Famous Faces and Funnies has it all. Rick Shea and the professional team at Famous Faces and Funnies are friendly and knowledgeable. Whether you're looking for toys, props, collector treasures, or a new comic book, Famous Faces and Funnies is your one-stop shop. To find Famous Faces and Funnies on Facebook and Twitter, just type at FFF Comics.
Best-selling and award-winning author of true crime and crime fiction, Yvonne Mason is back with a brand new book, The Pink Canary, a book that delves into the life of a drag queen and a marvelous whodunit. You can find this and all of Yvonne's other works on Amazon.com or find Yvonne Mason on Facebook and Twitter.
He's gonna kill me.
Buy your copy of Pink Canary now.
Now on Amazon.com, iCoin from author Jeremy Mosby. It's an alternate reality, and the leader of the planet iCoin is none other than Benjamin Franklin. when corrupt officials threaten not only iCoin but the Earth as well. An unlikely chosen one must face dark foes to save the Earth and iCoin alike. Author Jeremy Mosby takes readers on a superhero's adventure through this compelling and imaginative alternate universe. Get iCoin on Amazon.com today.
Ancient astronaut theorists suggest.
Nice. They suggest that you watch the Hangin' with Web Show Radio Hour.
Yes.
That's what they suggest. Welcome back to the show, guys. I'm GW Pomichter.
I'm Sagea.
And I'm Deanna Marie.
And on the line we have Robert Lupo, the Orlando Wizard, and the one and only Dennis Webster from Ghost and Toast. Guys, thanks for coming on tonight and hanging out a little bit with us. And, okay, so this part of the show, we wanted to dive into, a little bit of, what we all speculate, is out there or here or wherever, and the best and worst adaptations of that in the popular imagination. And so I think last segment we started with Dennis, so we're going to start with Robert Lupo this time, and let's do this backwards. Let's do the worst adaptation ever of an alien, and then the best adaptation and what you like or didn't like about them. All right, Lupo, you're up, man.
Oh, great. Worst adaptation, that's actually easy. Any sci-fi movie with aliens in the 1970s.
There's a lot of those, too, by the way.
Yeah. They all look like, rubber-suited crazy people.
And giant bugs. What's with the giant bug? How come they have to have giant bugs?
He's wearing an Egger suit.
Giant bugs were everywhere back in the day. Yeah. That makes sense. So anything dated like from
the 70s down, and I mean there's some bad ones in the 80s too, but they started getting it together.
Yeah.
As to the best, I have to say probably Men in Black. The representation of aliens in that I thought was pretty clever. And,
I did.
I really enjoyed how the aliens didn't take over the story.
Yeah, well, I liked the
usually
fact
when
that
you have an alien, the alien's the center of the thing. Even in Galaxy Quest, the aliens were predominantly the focus, even though the crew was there. Everybody was fascinated by the aliens, but
well, I love that they were just characters. It was, and Men in Black did a great job of making the alien presence just another character, another set of characters. You kind of, it was cute and it was funny, and some of the looks and some of the designs of aliens were kind of cool, but mostly they were just tertiary characters and they were the same as us. So you could watch, I forgot what they're called, the three little alien guys that were always smoking and joking in the back room whenever K and J walked in.
Oh, yeah.
I forgot what they are, the coffee drinkers.
Yeah, the coffee drinkers, they're just water cooler aliens. That was kind of cool, the idea that, hey, if these guys were out there, and if we did know about them, would they just be chilling by the water cooler with everybody else? That's kind of neat. All right, Dennis, you're up, man.
The worst was the post office scene in the third film.
Yes. Oh, yes. The idea that the post office was all run by them.
All run by aliens. And it makes perfect sense. So it was believable, which is what I liked about it.
Which explains where the mail gets lost to.
Yes, those are the worm guys.
Yes.
They're worm guys? That's what they're called?
They're called the worm guys.
I don't know. I just think they're cool. I like them. All right, Dennis. Okay, so worst adaptation ever, in your opinion, and why, and then best adaptation.
I would say, in my opinion, worst adaptation, a movie called Life Force that came out in the early 80s, if you remember it.
Oh, I do remember that.
It was based on a book called Space Vampires, and it was really bad and cheesy. It was one of those canon films. But what they did to redeem themselves was they got the most beautiful woman on the planet, and half the movie she walks around stark naked. So that was the redeeming quality of that bad movie.
So, worst aliens ever, but still a pretty good movie.
It was wacko, bizarre. So,
well, for a teenage, look, the 80s, for a teenage boy, best movie ever.
Sure. The Space Vampire one, it was like in Britain, right?
Yes.
It wasn't Space Vampires. What was it?
What was the name of that again, Dennis? Life Force, that's right.
Life Force was the name of the movie.
Life Force, that's what it was. I actually really enjoyed that movie. That was really good.
Yeah. So then I would say, in my opinion, best. I always loved as a writer and an author an episode of X-Files that was called Jose Chung from Outer Space.
Oh, hell yeah. Absolutely.
Charles Nelson Riley plays the writer, and then you got the Men in Black in that episode were Alex Trebek and Jesse the Body Ventura.
And Jesse Ventura coming, what you saw was swamp gas. I love that.
One
Just
of my
pulling him
favorite
across.
episodes.
That was so funny. And, I think my favorite part of that was watching Mulder go up on the hill when he's going to see the proverbial alien. And I like the fact that they did their own bleeping out with their words. Yep, yes. That's a bleeping dead alien. And that was just so funny. I loved that. I'm noticing there's a theme going around the room here, guys. The best aliens seem to be the ones that bring humor and a lighthearted spirit to things. Until we get to Sage. She's got a look on her face. So we're going to go to Sage and find out, Sage, okay, worst, best, and why. You got to do why.
Okay. I have my worst.
Worst.
Howard the Duck.
Oh, no.
Well, wait a minute. Wait.
As far as alien life goes.
Okay, Howard the Duck. Yeah, as far as alien, I got you.
Yes, that's
I'm
my
with you.
far
I was going to say now,
alien life.
Comics versus movie, because Howard the Duck movie is the worst adaptation of anything ever, anywhere. Howard the Duck comics were funny as hell. It was just great satire. But I get you. As an alien life form, Howard the Duck doesn't make any sense to you, huh?
No.
Me neither. It's okay.
No.
You're good.
It was a
Keep
fun,
going.
campy little thing, but no.
A world of duck people.
Yeah. No, I don't.
No?
I don't buy that.
No.
No, I don't buy duck people, and I don't like the idea of bug people either.
I'm not a big bug people fan. I got to tell you, bug people. I'm not a big. Although I will say, mathematically speaking, we are outnumbered like 400 million to 1.
I don't need to be reminded. Don't ever
on
tell
our
me
own
the odds.
planet. Okay, the best.
Actually, it was a small miniseries that I saw on TV, and it was Taken.
Oh, okay, yeah. I know.
Yes,
it was the Steven Spielberg's Taken.
Mm-hmm.
It was the generational story of abductees.
Yes, and then they followed it and expanded upon that over time, and I thought that was a very interesting thing.
Uh-huh.
Because if they're here, they'll visit. There are so many people who talk about alien abductions or visitations or being able to see UFOs. If you see them one time, they're only going to come one time and then leave and say, "What the hell is wrong with these airplanes? I'm never coming back again."
Your theory, if they're here, they'll visit. I don't know. My kids are all right here somewhere, but they don't visit.
I didn't say they'd always say hi.
All right.
But I like the aliens themselves. I liked the idea of that because they were they were quadruped, and that idea, I suppose, appeals to me.
Yeah. I think my least favorite aliens are, I'm with Lupo. They're anything dated like 1978 backwards. But I want to get really specific because we saw one up here that was really, really crazy. And I can't find it again because it's an alphabetical list. That's crazy. But yeah, I mean, the idea of giant bugs or guys in foam suits as the alien is really kind of disturbing, to me. And so, and I even, honestly, while I loved the movie, like Starship Troopers, as a sci-fi movie, as an adventure story, I hated those aliens. That was, of course, I'm supposed to, but giant bug people don't do it for me. But I do admit, mathematically speaking, insects are they overpopulate the Earth way more than we do. So, theoretically, it's more.
You know what I would love to see?
What's that?
Is a bug alien movie where the superhero is rolled up newspaper man.
Rolled up newspaper man. Yes!
Yeah, that's a good one.
And that was the problem with Starship Troopers is they were using modern guns. All they had to do is use a T-shirt launcher and shoot up rolled up newspapers, and they would have won that war the first day.
Wow. If they had Mel Brooks to do Starship Troopers, it would have been a giant fly swatter. Whack, whack, whack. That's what it would have been. Yes.
Yeah.
Wow. And let's see, favorite. I am a fan of movies that show you less of the alien and only give you bits. I love the idea of building suspense by not showing it to you and then showing you only glimpses. So I have to go with almost anything except for Mars Attacks. Almost anything that depicts the Greys, because they're always so mysterious and they're always so. It's done with light and shadow, and they're always off in the distance. And again, the Steven Spielberg's Taken miniseries on TV used the Greys, of course,
except for Paul. That one doesn't count.
Okay, Paul. Yeah, Paul. Have you guys seen this one? This is a new one. This is Paul who goes around the country in the back of an RV with some guys.
It's a hilarious movie.
It is hilarious.
It is really good. Well, it's got Simon Pegg in it, and everything he touches is gold. Absolutely.
Absolutely. But yes, Paul. Yes, you're right. But again, I'm a big fan of the Greys. So all the movies with the Greys in them, I kind of like. Although E.T. was cool and he was nowhere near a Grey. But But I do like Close Encounters. You know, remember the aliens we saw finally in the end of Close Encounters were Greys. She's having a blast. Mm-hmm. Yeah, so I am a big fan of those things. Yeah.
When I was in grade school, they actually showed us the hand signs for those tunes. It was such a big deal right after Close Encounters. I mean, they had someone coming to the school and doing this stuff, and it was, and we're like, and we're going to use this when? When's this ever going to be used?
But well, just in case. Okay, go ahead. What you have a question?
I do have a question, but I know we're hitting up toward the commercial break.
All right, well, what's your question?
My question, since we were talking about the Greys, was what was everybody's take on the Roswell incident?
Oh, well, when we get back, that's what I wanted to do with the last segment. I want to talk about those rumors, gossip, innuendo, fact, fiction, etc. regarding alien life on Earth today, and dating back as far as the ancient aliens want to go. The guys can weigh in on when, how, if, and what they think of alien life near and about planet Earth these days. And we'll do that right after we get back from the break. So right now, just stay tuned in and stay logged on. When we come back, we're going to spend the last segment talking about what's real or not.
Joanne Fisher's The Spanish Doll. Secrets in Italy? Oh yes. Her beauty strikes him like a thunderbolt sent by the goddess Venus. When Fiore is given a peculiar gift, a Spanish doll, she is thrown into a whirlwind of entangled passion, money, secrets, and love. Get swept away today by Hangin' with Web Show featured author Joanne Fisher's The Spanish Doll. Available now on Amazon.com.
This is Cosplay Michael with the Hangin' with Web Show. I want to tell you about my friends at Panelists Effects in Orlando, Florida. They've got makeup, costumes, and props for all of your costume needs. And the team at Panelists Effects is helpful and friendly. Panelists Effects is one of my favorite places, and I know it will be yours too. I'll see you there. Or go to PanelistEffects.com. And remember, cosplay is for everyone.
How you doing, everybody? This is KG Bethlehem. I'm an author of a new book called Certain Moments of Time. It's a collection of short stories. These short stories range from post-apocalyptic, dystopian, anti-utopia, as well as general fiction. You can find Certain Moments of Time on sale at Amazon.com, where you can purchase the ebook format as well as paperback format. You can also purchase it at Lulu.com, paperback format, and will be on sale soon at BarnesandNoble.com.
Now on Amazon.com. War Calls, Love Cries, a Civil War novel by Mark Berry. Isaac Wells is an innocent farm boy living in upstate New York. His dreams are shattered by a treacherous brother and the onset of a devastating civil war. War Calls and Love Cries is a fast-moving historical narrative. It is an emotional roller coaster ride and a riveting must-read book that you will think about and talk about for a long time to come. War Calls and Love Cries is the kind of book you will cherish for a lifetime. On Amazon.com today.
All right, everybody, welcome back to the Hangin' with Web Show Radio Hour. The truth is out there, and it might be in here. You never know. I'm GW Pomichter.
I'm Sagea.
And I'm Deanna Marie.
And on the line with us, we have, all the way from upstate New York, we have Dennis Webster. Welcome, Dennis.
Hey, thanks.
And all the way from Orlando, Florida, across the state, we have the Orlando Wizard himself, Robert Lupo. Robert, thanks for coming in again tonight, man.
Always a pleasure.
Awesome. Okay, guys, so we're going to go around the room again, and this time we're going to talk about those facts, fictions, myths, legends, the idea that alien life is not only out there, but maybe even closer than we think. And we're going to get your opinions on some of the mythos and ethos that is built up around the idea of aliens among us.
Ancient astronaut theorists suggest...
You give her enough buttons to push and she will push them. All right, so you know what? We're going to start with Dennis Webster, our paranormal expert here on the Hangin' with Web Show. Right. And Dennis, what do you think, man? From Roswell to present day, what's your take on the modern alien phenomenon?
I think that people that believe in it are not looked at as kooks or crazy anymore. I think the majority of people believe that there's UFOs. I mean, you got the government tracking them. You've got more and more people seeing them. For instance, I'm fascinated with that incident that happened at Chicago O'Hare Airport, where they had that the UFO hovering above the tarmac, and everybody saw it. Pilots, passengers, people in the terminal, and then it went straight up and punctured a hole through a cloud. That's a modern, that was not that long ago.
Yeah.
You can't cover it up when a bunch of people in public see it.
Well, that was really similar to, there was one just a couple of years ago in the era of cell phones that a bunch of people in, was mainland China, went out and were taking videos because there was the reflection. Well, we don't know what it was. It appeared to be a city. Yes. Very square, very angular, very a very modern looking cityscape on the clouds, over a city, and the mainstream scientific community was attempting to explain it with lights and mirage style optical illusion stuff, but no one in the scientific community could actually explain the phenomenon, how it would work above a whole layer of dark clouds, because
that was amazing. I watched all those videos. That was really something.
No one could actually explain how that phenomenon could occur when the reflective elements of the sky were blocked by that surface of clouds. So it's more likely to get a mirage in a clear sky because there's a reflective surface there. But to get something like that above a cloud thing was hard to explain. And so when you look at evidence like that, there's some phenomenon that if we don't admit anything else, if we won't admit anything else, we have to admit there are some phenomena we simply cannot explain away. There's just something some things we don't understand.
True. The best scientists in the world can't even explain what gravity is and why it works.
Exactly. So
that's easy. The Earth sucks.
Ba-dum-bum. Aha, yes. Okay, that brings us over to our own Orlando wizard, Robert Lupo. So, Robert Lupo, what do you think, man? The phenomenon that is modern, let's call it alienology. We'll just make that word up because we can. Okay?
It's ours now.
It's ours.
It's ours now. We own that word.
Officially copyrighted.
What do you think, man? Is there something there?
Define the question a little bit more.
Okay. So, in especially the 20th century, dating back to World War II. Now, supernatural encounters or paranormal encounters have been happening for centuries. But in the era after World War II, it seems that there's something in the skies. There's something there. What do you think? How credible is the idea that there are aliens, that there are something among us that we don't understand? What do you think of this modern phenomenon?
So, here's my grasp. I think half of it would be secret airships by the government. I go to DEF CON. I used to go to DEF CON every year over in Las Vegas at the end of July, which is a hacker convention. And we would often, group would go out to Area 51 and explore and watch, cruise missiles flying over. But people see flying devices out there that don't match or respond to anything that we see in modern. A perfect example, I think it's is it the Viper? I can't remember the name of the fighter aircraft that we're currently using. That's the most feared fighter aircraft there is out there. And normal flights, to turn, you have to bank and make, like a half circle or a quick half circle to reverse and go the opposite direction. And I was at an air show and I saw this plane fly overhead and then spin on its axis and go back the other direction. And it should be impossible to do that.
As a flyer,
in front of all of us.
As a flyer, I have only one thing to say. Ow! That would hurt. I mean, even all geared up, G-suit, the whole nine yards.
It's the most maneuverable and the most lethal airplane on the planet. It's feared by every country.
Wow.
And it's also considered stealth. But in World War II, pilots saw unexplained flying aircraft.
Foo Fighters, yes.
Yeah.
And astronauts see things in space and are often told not to talk about it.
Yeah.
My father actually worked on the Apollo mission that went to the moon. He designed the electronics for the lunar lander. So he designed everything there and was recognized by Neil Armstrong for it.
Wow.
And he would tell me stories about astronauts talking while he was over there about seeing things in space and were told that they couldn't discuss it outside. And my dad would be in the area, and he would overhear them constantly talking about it. It's like we went up and we saw another one, and it got really close and then zoomed away. These aren't airplanes.
Wow. Yeah. No.
We're one of the most advanced space travelers. The United States has the most advanced rocketry to go up in outer space, and we didn't invent those.
Yeah,
so
it is. It's amazing.
I think half of it is secret devices the government's working on, and the other half is completely and utterly unexplained.
Do you think some of it is that solar warden that you talk about hacking? A hacker hacked in and found those files talking about a secret space program? Could it be any of that?
There could be, but when our own astronauts, not being interviewed, talking amongst themselves or discussing the fact that they saw something they can't explain, and we're the most advanced space travelers on the planet, that would tell you something. And then I know that some hackers have gotten into some of the Blue Book files, and not all the Blue Book files are unexplained, or explainable.
There was. I believe they said there was something like fully 15 to 20% of Blue Book cases were left unexplained at the end, and there was a recent study showing that they had a modern government analyst look over the findings of Blue Book and noted that the findings in the last 2 years of Blue Book were decreasing. Those numbers were decreasing, so it was like the numbers were really big, mostly through Blue Book, of cases that were left unexplained. And then toward the last 2 years, mysteriously, they solved all the cases except for 12, and then all the cases except for 4. And the analyst said this is what government bureaucrats do when they want to close a program, is you start seeing the numbers go down so that they can remove the need for the program.
I like the new show they have out, Project Blue Book.
That's an interesting speculation. Has anyone seen that? You guys seen the new Project Blue Book show?
Yet, no, I haven't. I remember the old one.
Yeah, the Project Blue Book show is a fictional adaptation of the story of Dr. J. Allen Hynek and his involvement. The first season was about Hynek's involvement in Blue Book. And it is slated for a second season where they delve into some more other famous participants in Blue Book. But it was it was very, very speculative in that it dealt with the idea that what would Dr. Hynek have had to see in order to have worked for Blue Book and changed his mind in the process.
Yes.
Because when they hired Hynek, it was because he was he was going to scully Blue Book. He was going to go in and scully the project. And when he comes out the other side, he's Mulder.
Yeah.
And so they speculated in this new TV series, what would he have had to seen? What would he have seen that would turn him around 100%? And it was great speculation. It was, and I forget the actor's name.
Aidan Gillen.
What's that?
Aidan Gillen.
Aidan Gillen from Game of Thrones.
Yes,
he's Littlefinger in Game of Thrones.
And I really liked him in Project Blue Book. So.
I did. His Hynek was wonderful and really, really good. So if you get a chance, anybody out there on the web, check out Project Blue Book. We watched it on Hulu, I believe.
Yes.
Yes.
I think it's a history channel.
Yeah, I'll have to check that out.
Yeah,
I'm going to check it out for sure.
Yeah, it's a really good adaptation of a story that's very well known by now, the story of Project Blue Book and Dr. Hynek and his peers. So we're wrapping up like the last couple of minutes here, guys. We're going to shoot over to Dennis real quick. Final thoughts, man. Final thoughts on aliens and alien contact, alien life, favorite moments. Just kind of just shoot from the hip. You got about 30 seconds. Go.
I would say I hope I live long enough to see actual verification of alien existence on other planets. They keep saying we're only a few short years away from it, so I'm fingers crossed.
Fingers crossed. All right. And Lupo, man, the Orlando Wizard, what do you think? Final thoughts?
Well, I think with the evidence found with the new searching techniques into space, that they found what they call life planets, where they're in the ring where it's suitable to have life.
Inside the Goldilocks
zone. I think it's just a matter of time before we're able to find evidence. Like I said at the very beginning, we already know that life exists outside of our planet. We put it there, and it, mutated itself. What if that's what happened to us? As some spaceship came by, threw out some garbage, and we evolved from the microbes on the garbage.
We are Martian garbage.
Martian garbage.
I mean,
wow.
also, specifically, if you look at the DNA of humans, it's very radically different.
Yes, we do.
So one of the theories is the fact that humans are a transplant to this planet, and that we've modified and become more susceptible to the planet that we're on. But our DNA kind of shows that we don't necessarily actually belong here.
No, that actually is, and when you actually think about even through the course of our adaptation and our evolution, when you look around this planet, if it wasn't for how smart we are, if we were not able to construct our own habitats, for lack of a better way to put it, if we were not able to alter our environment, we are not built for this environment. Planet Earth is very hostile to the human being if we were not out there, whether it's huts or houses, whether it's sky rises or underground. If we didn't adapt the environment around us, it is arguable that we are not very well suited for Earth's environment.
Inhospitable.
It is very inhospitable to us, from hot to cold, etc. Guys, thank you so much. Thank you so much to the Orlando Wizard, Robert Lupo, for being with us tonight. Thank you so much to Ghost and Toast, Dennis Webster. Check out some of the links in the description of this so you can find Dennis's books. You can also find where you can find Dennis online. We're going to wrap it up, guys. As we do, we want to thank our partners and our friends at Famous Spaces and Funnies, Off the Chain Radio with author Yvonne Mason.
We have Space Coast Comics. We have Celestial Healings from upstate New York. We have the Foxwood Wine Company right here in glorious Space Coast.
Our good friends over at Indie Originals at IndieCon 2019.
The wonderful J. Bauer Art.
The wonderful J. Bauer Art, and of course our good friends, the Kitchen Killers. Thank you all for sharing our work, our videos, and our audio and our podcast all over the World Wide Web, and helping to share us with the world. We hope that if you're listening to this right now, you will share it with a friend, or 5, or 10, or 50. 5,000 is a good number.
And they'll tell 2 friends, and they'll tell 2 friends.
And they'll tell 2 friends. That's right. In the meantime, guys, while all that telling is going on, stay tuned in, stay logged on, and see who we're hanging with next.